Welcome back to What Arty Noobs with General Disturbance. This is the IS-3A. It's a Tier 8 Soviet premium heavy tank. It's located on the northeast spawn of Karelia, and this one is under the command of Knopnik of OLIMP. Now, the IS-3A, it's an auto reloader, 122mm caliber, 390 alpha, and it's a 3-shot autoloader. Auto reloader, I should say, not an autoloader. So it's capable of loading 3 shells, but it actually fires better if you fire all of those shells. So you've got an empty mag and it's having to reload one at a time, rather than if you fire just one round and try and let that reload, as in the Progetto. So it's exactly the reverse to the Progetto. You want to have an empty mag and firing that rather than a full mag as on the Progetto. Okay, now it's 3 seconds between each shot when it cycles, and he's got 3 shots to fire away. Unfortunately, he's being kind of manhandled at the moment by a Progetto in front of him, and SU-101 directly in front of him. And the first target's turning up. It's an Alpine Tiger. When he fires one in, it actually hits the track, and yeah, he gets hit by the AMX-30, the AP AMX, the new version, or the version they brought out for that new, what was it, during a particular mission. I can't remember now whether or not where we got those auto ones, the different version. But he's getting hit by just about everyone, including the Alpine Tiger, but you can see he's firing heat back. And that's one of the good things about this tank, is that not just the auto reloader, but the fact that it fires APCR as standard and heat rounds as the premium ammo. And that makes a big difference, because you've got 221mm of pen with the APCR, but when you load up the heat, that goes up from 221 all the way up to 270. And at tier 8, that makes a big difference, because it means that virtually every shot should be able to pen if you can get it in the right spot. That one didn't. It was going for the cupola, and the Alpine Tiger is now down. Now, the enemy holds the horseshoe at the moment, but how for much longer, I don't know. Got a couple of tanks over there, an IS-6 and a Super Pershing, T26E4, with the 90mm gun. He's actually letting the shells load at the moment, so he's got 3 to play with straight away. Okay, there's still a couple of tanks up on the horseshoe. Will he get shots into these guys? Well, he's lost sight of one, but he gets the other one in sight. And the first one didn't go through, but the second one did, and it's a big hit for 364. Well, it's a low roll actually, 365, but for the AMX-30, that was a lot of hit points gone, and we bounced another round from the Super Pershing. Yeah, it's difficult to actually get the weak spots on an IS-6, because the cupola is actually considerably smaller than on an IS-3. In fact, they both have a similar weak spot, that area right on top of the roof where it's flat. Well, that one went into the tracks, and he's burned his repair kit straight away to keep moving. The trick with the Super Pershing is to get the thing over the armour or under the applique armour, and the trick with this one is either to get the cupola or to actually get that soft area on the top of the roof where it's rather thin. There he is. Yep, and he went. It's to look for those springs right on top of the roof. They're the springs that actually hold the 90mm gun up the barrel. He's loaded another one. He's got a full mag now. He's going to try and get 3 heat rounds in. Tries to go for the cheeks, it didn't work. Kick around in the tracks from an SMPCC that we can't see at the moment. Okay, got teammates moving up with us, so that will distract some of them. It's the Progetto and the SU-101, the guy who was actually being a nuisance earlier. IS-6 shooting down on him didn't work. It hit the ground actually, That one hit the side of the turret, didn't go through. Go for the top of the turret. Yes, he got it this time. Okay, so we should have a round ready in a second or so. And there goes the IS-6. Now, can he deal with that D26E4? There he is. He's trying to line up his shots. Go for the roof. There he is. And he gets one in. Get another one in. Yes. It's a one shot now. If he can get the shot on target. Oh, what's going on here? It looks like the Object 252U is being a bit of a nuisance. He's rubbing alongside us. And that pushed up the reticule. Yeah, he wasn't too impressed about that, Knopnik. And now the SU-101's diving in there to try and take the kill away. But he scores, well, he didn't get any damage at all, did he? 399, no he didn't. So that's annoying. Now the enemy is being pushed into their side of the map, and oh, we just got hit by a renegade round from over the other side of the battlefield. He was the one closest to the cap area other than that SMVCC, who we can't see at the moment. He must be nearby. He's decided to, oh, we can see him. We should be able to hit him from this range. The thing is that this gun doesn't have very good gun handling. He's lost sight of the enemy now, so he doesn't want to waste rounds. He has only got 4 heat rounds left at the moment. And then 5 rounds of APCR, and then he's out. So you don't get a huge amount of ammunition with this tank. Oh, he's been spotted. Somebody saw him. And there is the tank. It's an AMX 5100. Or is that the one that spotted him? It might have been somebody else. And that AMX 5100 just took out our Object 252U. Pokes his head round the corner to have a quick look at us. And oh, that's what's spotting us. It's the Renegade. The Renegade seeing us because the AMX 5100 saw us. And now we're getting hit in the rear, in the back of the turret, would you believe it, from that Renegade, from a long way away. And he's hiding from our guys. They're advancing towards him. Oh, that was more lobbing a shell at the enemy. That one didn't work. And no, that didn't come in at the right angle either. He's going for the cupola. That huge cupola on the Renegade just didn't work. In fact, this is still an awkward position to be in. We've got enemy in front of us and enemy behind us. But luckily, he only hit us in the tracks there. And now he's side on. Again, we don't get a hit, but he is out the game now. The Lorraine 40 ton finally finished him off. Now, I think we do have a problem just around the corner, because apart from that AMX 5100, we've also got a Scorpion who's nearby. And there's an SMG CC67 a short distance away from him. So they do have some defenders at their cap area. And that AMX 5100 is still being a bit of a problem. And although we're not getting shot in the rear anymore, we're down to just 38 hit points, so we could go out the game with just one shot. Luckily, the Scorpion's looking at us. He's not looking at our teammates, and that could be his downfall. If so, we'll get the spotting, I think. Yes, we did. Now, there's the AMX. Yep, that's one hit. The SU-101's being a nuisance, but we still got 2 hits in. The SU-101 took the hit, and he's gone. The AMX 50 goes down to the Progetto. And there goes the SMV CC67. So this game is over, and it's a victory, albeit that Knopnik took a bit of damage. Here's the end of battle stats, and that was the first class tanker for Knopnik in the IS-3A, the premium IS-3 with the auto reloader. He got a first class. He also picked up a fire for effect for doing more damage to the hit points for his own vehicle, a shell proof for blocking more damage to the hit points for his own vehicle, a spotter badge for spotting at least 1,000 hit points of damage, as well as a bruiser medal for getting at least 5 critical hits. In fact, he got 5 exactly, and a hand of God for surviving the battle, having received damage from 4 different enemy tanks. On top of which, he actually got a Spartan medal. He blocked an enemy shot, a non-penetrating shot, right at the end when, of course, he had less than 10% of his hit points left. And he also got a steel wall as well for blocking the most damage in that game overall. And I think the enemy tanks were seeing him and thinking, yeah, he's the one we've got to prioritise. Not because he's got an auto-loader, but probably because he's actually quite a good player. And it would have been showing up in their ratings if they were watching his XVM rating. They would have been saying, yeah, I think that's the one we've got to worry about. And quite right too, because he actually got a win rate of 3,546 in that game, which is Super Unicum standard. And if they were following his rating, yeah, they would probably have seen that and think, yeah, nasty. Anyway, you can see that he did actually get the highest damage in the game, but didn't get 20% of the enemy hit pool. That's why he didn't get the high caliber. 3,930 hit points in total. Second highest damage went to that Progetto 46, the one who was actually rubbing against him right at the start of the game. 3,390 hit points to him, so it's actually transposing the digits in the center. And if you're an accountant, you'd know what I mean, transposition. Yeah, 2,951 hit points went to the Scorpion G as well. He's third highest. When it came to kills, though, it was actually the Progetto did the best with 4 kills in that game. 2 kills went to the Scorpion, the Lorraine, the Kampfpanzer 07, the Striv 81, and the SU 101, and also the enemy AMX 50-100. Unfortunately, Knopnik didn't get any kills at all in that game. He tried. I thought he did get a kill at least one point. I thought the T26E4 was his, but no, wasn't his kill. And in fact, when it came to base XP, he's right at the top of the table. So he not only got the most damage, he got the least number of kills, but he also got the highest base XP. So 2 out of 3. 1,396 went to Knopnik. 1,135 went to that Progetto. And 991 went to the Scorpion G. So only 2 players managed to get over 1,000 base. Knopnik fired 26 rounds, got 18 direct hits on the enemy and 10 penetrations. Even though he was firing a lot of heat ammunition and it was expensive for him, he only got 10 pens. And I think that's because some of the tanks he was firing against just had very strong armor, and he was finding it very difficult to actually get the shot in there. Tanks like the IS-6, even though he had an almost perfect shot at one point, shooting down on the upper plate, it just didn't work. 3,930 hit points, all of it done at close range. 16 hits received from the enemy. 5 of those penetrated, 11 non-penetrations, and 2,930 hit points blocked by armor. He spotted 1 enemy vehicle, damaged 5 of the enemy, killed 0. But he actually caused 1,528 hit points of spotting assist in that game. He also got 4 capture points right at the very end of the game, after it basically had already ended. He earned 126,000 credits, 126,768 actually. But so much heat ammo was fired in that game, he actually ended up with a loss of 29,676 credits. 2,094 XP on a premium, times 2 for the first victory, 209 for this being a premium vehicle, and took away 4,397 experience points altogether. He called this one the most Russia, 4-letter word that I've ever seen. Yeah, I think actually it wasn't working for him in this game. Normally IS-3s do work very, very well. It didn't work in this game. In fact, the Progetto was doing far better. Even though Knopnik actually ended up with the most hit points, it was that Progetto that was ending up with most of the kills. And I think to some extent that was because Knopnik was actually taking the hit points out of them, and then the Progetto was then getting the kill afterwards. He was like kill stealing. But there you go. So not a great game. He didn't actually enjoy this, but at least he ended up winning the game and showing his mettle and showing that he was a better player. Even though he didn't actually get the kills, he did definitely get the highest damage. Here's the armor profile for the IS-3A. Now, as I said, it's slightly different from the standard IS-3. It's got a different shaped turret, obviously, which gives it away straight away. It's not so much of a skillet. It's more of it's like a frying pan, but anyway. You can see that it actually does have very good turret armor at the front here, 249 impacted armor here. With the mantlet, that's even better still. It's very, very strong, but because it's a rounded turret, a cast turret, it actually does have very good armor on the turret indeed. So you wouldn't want to aim for the cheeks of this turret, but you would want to aim for the roof, because you can see it's only 20 millimeters directly above the roof. And even though it's at a very acute angle, the shells could overmatch that and go straight through. The effective armor is only around the 53, 54 millimeters mark. So if you can aim for that square directly above the mantlets on the roof of the IS-3, that's where you should be aiming for to try and get a penetration. The cupolas are almost non-existent, and they are slightly more. They're about 80 millimeters, but they're very difficult to hit, as you can see right from the front. The pike nose, well, again, you don't want to shoot at it from the front directly because it's 110 millimeters, but it's angled in such a way that it will actually work against you if you shoot directly at it. In fact, it works against the IS-3A if you're shooting at an angle like this, because then the actual armor, even though it's 110 here showing 225, when you go this way, because the armor is flat to you, it's now only 175. So it's actually gone down by about 50 millimeters just by being angled towards you. So you shouldn't be angling an IS-3, you should be actually looking directly at the target. But that does expose your lower plate, which is 110 impacted, but it actually comes out at slightly higher as you get closer up on the pike. So again, on this one, you should be aiming for the apex of the pike, which is actually the lower effective armor than the further down. But of course, there's not much difference between being further down and being up here. So aim wherever you want on the lower plate. You're still going to have to try and get through about 200 millimeters. But remembering that this tank actually does have armor penetration about 217. No, it's 221, isn't it? So it should be able to penetrate one of these with standard APCR on the upper plate or the lower plate. Then the sides of the vehicle, well, they're 90 millimeters, so no problem penetrating through the sides of those. The rear of the turret, you can see, is only 70 millimeters, so again, thinner. The sides, 110. If you're an Arty and you're trying to hit the thing on the roof, 20 millimeters of armor, so you should be able to pen it. And of course, if you can aim for that little rectangular area there, which I said is the weak spot, normally that's only 20 millimeters as well, and it should go straight through that, so no problem. The rear of the vehicle, again, it's thin, 60 millimeters, but so if you can get behind one of these, then great, but chances of you getting behind it, well, fairly low. They do have a new version out called the Peregrine. You might see that occasionally. It's actually marked as Peregrine, but it actually also says it's an IS-3A. So if you see anything saying Peregrine, that's one of those new modified IS-3As. Well, it's not modified, it's just got a different name, that's all. Okay, here's the modules, and you can see that the driver is sitting in the center up front. We've got the gunner on the left-hand side, the commander's on the right-hand side, he's got the radio, and the ammo, well, remember, it's an auto-loader, so what you're actually looking at there is the auto-loader mechanism. There's no loader as such. It's only the commander on this side, the gunner on that side, and the driver at the front. So those are two big ammo racks. If you can aim for the sides of the turret, remember it's about 110 millimeters, you should be able to get through that. The engine is at the back, sandwiched between two fuel tanks with the transmission behind. And there appears to be big gaps in between as well, where shells won't do anything if they do go through. So don't expect to get a bang unless you aim for the middle of the tank, right in the dead center of, or just behind the dead center of the turret on an IS-3 or into the hull. And that's where all the modules are. So I hope you enjoyed that replay. If you did, please give this video a like. Do subscribe to my channel. Leave a little comment down below because it feeds the algorithm. And thank you for watching.